China's economy slowed sharply in 2022, with GDP growth registering one of its worst performances in nearly half a century, pressuring the policymakers to provide more stimulus this year. GDP growth for 2022 at 3% is significantly below the government's target of around 5.5%, and also a sharp slowdown from 2021's 8.4% growth. That marks its worst annual performance since 1976, excluding the 2.2% growth that followed the initial COVID hit in 2020. For the December quarter, GDP rose 2.9%, slowing from 3.9% in the quarter before. China's zero COVID-19 policy and a severe property market downturn in 2022 has hurt the country's economy. Beijing abruptly lifted all restrictions in early December, leading to a surge in infections, which is expected to hamper the growth in the near term in the country. We're now being joined by Simon Lee, who is the co-director of International Business and Chinese Enterprise Program and senior lecturer at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Welcome to the broadcast, Simon.
Yes.
Now the Chinese economy, right. Now the Chinese economy opened abruptly in December, and this led to a surge in COVID-19 cases. I want to ask you, how will the rise in COVID-19 cases impact the Chinese economy at the moment?
Now, I think any countries, you see many countries lifted the restrictions quite earlier, and China needs to experience such a painful process. And though the figures are rising, but the death rates are similar to those reported in the Western country. So in the coming few months, I think it's a kind of process. After such process, I think the China economy could resume to normal. The leaders, they know that the strict zero COVID-19 policy is not sustainable. So that's why they changed the policy quite suddenly.
Right. I also want to ask you, how will the economic slowdown in China right now impact the world economy?
Now, though the figures is the worst in the past 40 years, but if we take into considerations of the lockdowns everywhere, almost everywhere in the major cities in mainland China, also the crisis in the real estate sector, that 3% growth is not that bad. And we see that the December retail figures is better than expected. And then with more economic activities resume, people can travel around, move around after the Chinese New Year. I think in 2023, the GDP growth of China is around 4.5 to 5%. This is obviously very encouraging to the world's economy, because China is still a major production hub and a logistics center for the world's economy. And we know that there may be slight recession in the US, so I think it's a good stimulus to the world economy.
Right, Simon, also tell us about the property market downturn and the stimulus from China to support the market as of now.
Now, the central government is solving. It's not that easy because the structural problem for so many years in the past. Many business leaders in that sector firmly believe that the high debt structure is the key components of the industry, so it takes time. Eventually, I think that the state enterprise will intervene, and then with the cooperation of the banking sector, it may take time to resume to normal, but it's a painful process. I think it's not as easy as handling the COVID-19. Handling COVID-19 is far more easier than solving the crisis in the real estate sector. Maybe it takes 1 to 2 year time.
Right, Simon. Thanks for joining us, WION this hour, and sharing your insights with us.
Thanks
very much.